Welcome back. Welcome back. It is Best Boys, a film podcast. And it's a beautiful morning. I'm your host, Slob Thomas, aka Lazy JP, JP, Pitt. I have many names. And my beautiful dove, flying like in a John Woo movie.
I'm your co-host, Kory with a story, also known as Mike Tyson. These are my pigeons. They're so graceful.
Did you think that Mike Tyson was involved in? I know John Woo movies do doves. They do pigeons too, but they do doves.
Mike Tyson had that TV show years ago.
I remember.
He was like a dove, or he was a pigeon guy on rooftop.
Well, he raised pigeons actually. He was into keeping pigeons. That was his thing. One of his things. Mike Tyson.
He's an eclectic man.
He's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're back. Podcast. We're dancing.
The week 12.
We're Joker dancing.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. So, how was your past week? Anything interesting? Anything fun?
It sucked ass. It's been a terrible week, honestly. My car died, and I haven't got a new one yet. But I'm in the process of hunting.
Yeah.
Also, doctor's visits and things like that. Always fun. I haven't gone to the doctor in a really long time, so it's always an anxious experience.
Same.
What you should take it from me. Pee pee poo poo. Wow, Bodak rating with a party at 6. Thank you, Bodak, for the raid. Get us started with the gang. So what you got any news for us today? I see you're in Los Angeles again.
Yeah, you can tell by Evan's wall of Boba Fett behind
Yeah,
me.
the Boba Fett. The Boba Fett is what gives it away. It's not as sunny as it normally is. It's a little dark. But
yeah, it looks like rain. It very much looks like rain, which is such a wild, weird.
You brought it with you.
Magical thing. It's been thunderstorming so much back in Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah, it's rained like every day for like 2 weeks straight back. And, where I'm from, I finally got to do some yard work yesterday. I know I'm getting old because I got to cut the grass, and I was excited about it because there was no rain. It's wild how that kind of shit changes. The shit that you dread when you're a kid, you now look forward to, because it's yours,
Yeah.
Like when it's yours, it's different because you're taking care of it. It's nice to have a clean space. You've learned, and I think when you're in your early 20s, you go through this process of, I don't want to, clean. So then you learn, you live in filth, you slowly live in more filth. And then you're like, I don't like this. This sucks. I now understand why my parents made me clean. And then you slowly work back to the place you were as a kid where you had to clean.
Yeah, for me, it was like doing chores and everything. And like our dad was fairly messy. So it was like, to this day, I still have a big thing of like, I can't stand cleaning up after other people. Like I have no problem cleaning my own messes. But like, even with like Kylie, like I'll clean up after her a bit because she's pretty messy, but then I'll hit a threshold and I'm just like, I can't stand doing this anymore. But if it's my own mess, I don't mind. I'll clean all day. It's weird.
Riss isn't that messy.
Yeah. Well, so how about on my way to the airport yesterday morning, one of the cows, for those who don't know, I live on a farm. We have a bunch of cows. One of the cows just took a big shit on our sidewalk right outside the front door, and so I get the
that's a sign.
Yeah, so I go to get the like the flat shovel, and I go to scoop it up, but it's way fresher than I thought it would be, and it's like diarrhea glob, and so it ends up just essentially painting like a big chunk of the sidewalk like brown, like a thin brown coat, because I couldn't get it all off. And I was running late to get to the airport, so I couldn't take the hose to hose it down, and I'm just hoping it rains, or else Chris and Kylie have to deal with.
When did you leave?
Yesterday morning.
It hasn't rained since. It's finally stopped raining consistent for the fucking
the thin brown line.
The thin brown line, yeah, Bodak. We'll have to watch that. We'll have to make that movie someday.
Yeah.
It's the sequel to the Thin
I
Red
might
Line.
as well have just taken one of those like big roller sticks for paint and just went it down the sidewalk. So
Yeah.
it smelled so bad. It smelled so bad.
Do we have anything we want to discuss on the entertainment front? Apparently
I
there's
don't.
a lot of people talking about A24 eventually getting bought or getting sold. They have a new CFO who worked for the NBA for a long time.
Ooh.
I don't know what that means.
All about money. No salary caps here.
No, they're trying to get like I guess somebody who's overseen mergers and acquisitions is what I've read. Thought that was interesting. Yeah, I think A24 is obviously putting out so much good shit that they're gonna get bought and then get ruined, and that's just the circle of life.
Yeah.
So many other. I mean, that's what's happened. Was it Miramax an indie company at one point, or
They
no?
were owned by Disney.
No, all right. Now I'm thinking of somebody else.
I don't know if they got bought by Disney, but I know that they were.
I know that Miramax made a lot of indie movies in the '90s, and I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
there's like that '90s indie boom, you know.
Yeah, Miramax was owned by the Weinstein guys, and
yeah,
then
that asshole.
Disney, so they started the Weinstein Company and left Miramax.
Well, the reason why I bring up Weinstein is he had a big hand in getting kids in theaters.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that coming up. So these movies, particularly Gummo, but I have been really excited to get to the point where we can watch
Spring Breakers,
a Harmony Korine movie that is not Spring Breakers. Spring Breakers is fine. I don't hate it or anything, but
I've never seen it.
It's fine.
I just know that Riff Raff sued them over it.
It's like very vibey, and there's not a lot of clear plot. But that's kind of how Gummo is.
Yeah,
Gummo is much more immersive, I think. And all right. Let's just get fucking to it. Harmony Korine is a very interesting fella. So apparently, he's been kicked off of David Letterman for like robbing people. He was on there like 3 times. You can watch all of his David Letterman interviews, one after another chronologically. Like one was after kids because he's really young. He's in like high school. One was for Gummo, and I think one was for some book he was doing, maybe in between the movies. And yeah, apparently because he was on drugs at some point in his life, like robbed the dressing room, and he's banned. He's banned from David Letterman for the rest of his life.
Jesus.
I think he was eventually brought back to somebody. Maybe it was Jimmy Fallon or something, and they talked about it. I can't remember. But yeah, Harmony Korine's a wild guy, interesting guy, creative.
Yeah, I was blown away when I found out that he wrote Kids at 19, and then they shot it like the year after. So he was like 20 when Kids came out.
He's in both of these movies. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, he's the rave guy who gives Jenny the pill and Kids, and then he's the drunk dude trying to have sex with the little person. Yep.
So what do you? I feel like we should talk about Kids first. We should talk about them chronologically.
Yeah, because that wasn't directed by him. So which makes sense because this one has more of a plot, like more of a story arc, I should say.
But also the style. I think there is a cohesive style between the two films, and I wonder how much Korine was influenced by this, or how much influence Korine had on the direction of Kids, because it's like one of those things, like you have experience directing and I don't, but if I wrote something I really believed in, I would want to be involved, but I couldn't put my name as the director. You were the director, and I would just be giving my input or on style or whatever. But apparently he's very well watched as a kid, as like dad exposed him to a lot of movies, and then when he was around this time, after he met Larry Clark, apparently when he was writing this, that he watched a ton of movies as well. Yeah, it's very for pretty much being a kid writing this, or 19.
Which is nuts
Very.
that this came from the head of a 19-year-old, because the way it's written is just so like it's written as if somebody like a late 20-year-old was writing about their youth. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
yeah,
like an
yeah.
urban
It feels
urban
yeah.
trope.
That's a very good way to put it. It feels very um. It feels very somebody beyond their years, aged, like,
Yeah.
weathered. Um, and it really does characterize. It's a good characterization of youth nihilism.
Hmm.
I think that's pretty much what the movie is about. Besides the obviously literal anti-AIDS, unprotected sex themes.
So much of this movie reminded me just like of our like granted I was born in 92, so I'm more of the millennial kid, but this so much of this reminded me of just like our like upbringing, not so much like the fucked up stuff, but just like the the slang stuff, the clothes, the aggression towards women, the
Oh,
like
it's a
all this
time
like
capsule. It's absolutely
yeah,
a time capsule.
watching this movie, I just kept thinking, I was like, man, I remember all of this shit, but now I feel so disappointed in it.
Yeah, I was probably
Like,
6 years old, so we were a little, 5 years disconnected,
yeah.
maybe. But there is a like remember remember this world. I remember the fashion. I remember the
Hmm.
way people talked, and it's honestly not that much different to today, other than the baggy pants, like in baggy clothes. It's not that different between skater culture and the 2010s.
Hmm.
Like the hats and like snapbacks and flat brim hats and back like the way they're wearing everything and
I like to
um
think skater culture nowadays is
n-
more
not now,
inclusive,
but like
or like in the 2010s at
yeah.
least, versus like the like when the gay couple is walking
Well,
in the park,
yeah, that's what's different.
everyone just loses their minds.
Yeah, that is very, very of the time,
Yeah.
and just ignorance. And there's a lot of ignorance, especially from the males in this
Mm.
movie. There are long segments side by side where you see the male's perspective and the female's perspective, and they're like
And
kind
all
of
kinds
talking
of
about, and
contradicting.
they're talking about the same stuff, but then yeah, sometimes they're exact opposites of what they think about the thing. Um,
Hmm.
the leads are all great. And obviously the female leads, Rosario Dawson and Chloe Sevigny or Sevigny. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure the exact pronunciation. I've heard it multiple ways. But they've gone
I've
on and had long, successful careers from this. But
Mhm.
the other two, the male leads, Justin Pierce and Leo Fitzpatrick. Leo Fitzpatrick apparently was pretty traumatized by this movie, and I guess a lot of people treated him like an asshole because he was like the villain of the movie. The AIDS spreader, the HIV spreader. And then Justin Pierce apparently was kind of like picked up off the street. Larry Clark, or I can't remember if it's Larry Clark or Harmony Korine found him as just in skater. He's like practically homeless, and so
Yeah.
he very much embodies the character that he is in this movie. And he acted for a while, but he was in the movie Next Friday with Ice Cube, and he killed himself in the promotion of it right after.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Uh,
This
that's
movie
not.
has some baggage, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I was reading an interview, and Harmony Korine said he's the one that found the Fitzpatrick dude because of how he was swearing when trying to land tricks at the skate park that he just happened to be like going by, and just like heard his voice and was just like, I want that guy. That's Telly. Um, which is it's not, yeah, so it's just like these non given these non-actors who I thought did a phenomenal performance. And I was reading this interview with Harmony. He was saying like the reason why he chooses non-actors is because they can bring something that no actor can, which is bringing themselves into it. Because I guess it's very hard to get an actor to just be themselves in something.
Yeah, I see a lot of from both of these movies. I see a lot of this style in the Safdie brothers' work.
Mm.
And I've only seen Good Time and Uncut Gems, but apparently the couple Never Knows Best. I don't not Never Knows Best. What the fuck is it called? But the movie they did before that, it's like is this hyper immersive, like it's this biographical movie about this woman's life and and she was on drugs and all this stuff in the street, and they actually have the woman playing herself and like they're like recreating moments of this woman's life, and she's the lead in their own movie. I've been wanting to see it. I think I put it on the list just in case we go down a safety hole. But I see a lot of what they do with the immersion in this and Gummo in the Safdie Brothers style.
The I will say though, and this is more of like a silly thing, but like Casper's character is just bombed the entire movie, and it's insane to me that he doesn't pass out until like as late, like whatever, like 4 in the morning or whatever. Because like from the start of the movie, he's just down on a 40, and then they go get another 40, and he's down in that, and then he's at the park with another 40 down in that, and then
Yeah, he's doing whippets and
like
his weed and.
Did he do? Because so I was reading, they said that this movie's entirely scripted, but the blue lips on Casper after he hits the whippet looks super real.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
So
they
like,
did.
did he actually hit like do?
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that he actually hit a whippet.
Because on Gummo, I was reading that they actually did huff glue and all this stuff, and they just like a lot of the stuff was just Harmony would like either leave the room or just let them do whatever, and then to encourage them to just like be themselves. Like if you're a crack addict, go smoke crack in between takes. We don't care. We want your true self. If you want to sniff glue, go sniff glue. But it does because like the cast looks like they're all under 18. I would imagine some of them are over 18, but like so it's like how do you get a parent to sign on to that for the legality?
Well, so apparently, the opening sequence, which is incredibly hard to watch. I had to pause it so many times. Oh my god! So that you caught the age of that character?
Yeah, they said she was 12 when she left when he left. He was talking to Casper, and he said she's 12.
So the actress was 17. So and she feels very young, and it fucking feels so real and so wrong. And as unlike this kid is, I don't know if he's a senior. Assume they're all seniors, the main four.
I took it as they were around 16, 17 because Rosario Dawson and or she plays Ruby. So Ruby and Jenny, when they got tested, said their ages, and they said they were 16 and 17.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it like trying to fuck young girls and the virgin thing, and like I remember those mindsets, as in high school. Like I remember people being like that, or thinking weird sexual things, and it's all new. And but man, is it hard to see now as an adult? And think about.
This made sex feel really dirty and disgusting, and I don't think I ever want to like French kiss again in my life. The way they shot it in this movie just feels so dirty, like in a bad way.
Yeah, it does.
I'm talking like they're just shoving tongues down everybody. Like they're like the big theme of this movie is just like kissing. There's so many close-up mouth shots.
Yes, and it's you're right, and it's all gross.
Like, shoving tongues down each other's throat, trying to just be like to them, I took it as just like because they're kids, everything is hypersexualized and it's from their perspective, and everything is like the extreme. And it was also the 90s, so everything's extreme. But it was just like, man, this is every time I watch somebody kiss, it was like gross.
So the director.
How did they get away? You said that girl was 17, but in that opening shot, but right before they have sex, you can see through her bra, and so wouldn't that be?
Oh yeah, you can see like half nipple at the.
So isn't that like child nudity? Like
I don't know how they did it. I don't know how.
Yeah, the entire time watching this movie was just how the fuck did they get away with this legally? Like none of this seems legal. But they said it was 100% scripted and all that stuff for this movie. At least Gummo's a different story.
But I love the way that it's shot to make it feel like it's not scripted. Gummo's the same way. Gummo uses actual real life shit, whereas this doesn't. It's all completely scripted. But it feels so real. It's like long, especially all the long takes of the boys
Yeah, all the like
As the
parties,
boys
like
partying and hanging out
yeah.
and just talking shit to each other. It just felt so real and like it was just happening. Um, I want to talk about the director, Larry Clark. Larry Clark is a photographer, and I guess he was before Kids. He was famous for a photography book about Tulsa, Oklahoma, um, and like he's like an art photographer.
Mm,
And apparently, I don't know how he got into filmmaking exactly, but or I mean, he's probably made art films over the years before Kids. No, actually, Kids is his first movie. It says. But apparently he was just hanging out down at skate parks and was interested in the skate culture and the youth and then like met Harmony Korine somehow down there as a kid and I asked him to write the movie like to get as much youth like
mm,
the youth input as possible and just told him that it needs to be about AIDS. Like that's like the only prompt he gave him that AIDS
yeah.
needs to be a part of it. And I guess that I was there and reading about it. I heard that this was kind of like the height of the AIDS epidemic in America. Like this was like the peak of it in the early '90s.
Mm,
So like there was being big stresses about safe sex and stuff like that. But yeah,
yeah.
Larry Clark seems like a very wild guy. And none of his other movies I don't have the acclaim of Kids. And I think a lot of people kind of credit Kids as Harmony Korine's kind of first film a lot. And I don't know
Mm,
enough about it seems like, it was definitely directed by Larry Clark. And a lot
yeah.
of the production stuff I saw, but I think the Kids is definitely informed. I think Corinne's style going forward,
Mm,
and I think his input on it is obvious. I don't know.
yeah. I will say I love the way though that they took $1.5 million budget, which in 1995 is a good budget for a movie. Like that's not an indie budget back then. But this movie feels like it was shot for nothing. Like the way it's how gritty it is and just how like it makes it look like it came out a decade prior, but with like all of the proper 90s aesthetic and everything. Um, is just so the like the my favorite shot in the entire movie is when Jenny is in it's that profile shot of Jenny in the car when she's finally leaving the rave and on her way over to Steven's place to go talk to Telly, and it's just like heavy like neon like rim light and blue and like all the passing like neon signs on the streets as she's driving past in the rain and everything. It is so grungy but so beautiful at the same time, and that's like the whole aesthetic of the movie. I definitely it definitely makes me wish that shooting film was an easier thing to do nowadays because it is very expensive and very hard.
And yeah, the grit of both of these films, the way that they're shot, really the texture of
Yeah.
that. I mean, we were fortunate enough to see in HD, but the honestly, seeing Gummo at DVD quality didn't really bother me at all. It kind of just
No, it
lent
looked
to
the same
the
to me.
look really. It was the file I had was a very high quality DVD file rip,
Yeah.
but yeah, it didn't seem to bother me at all. I only really noticed it when text was on the screen. Um,
The the story wise though, this movie is just completely fucked up. So much fucked up shit happens in this movie. You've
yeah,
got
it's very bad.
uh
It's just
you
watching
got
kids do bad shit. It's what this
with
movie
and
is.
thinking that they're indestructible.
And yeah,
Um
and no, like none of all the shit that people say. It kind of reminds me of the pandemic and how people shrug off, you know, things that the government says or things that
yeah.
they're telling you that this is bad and like, no, that's bullshit, man.
It's like I
That's a
don't know
bunch of
anybody with AIDS. Do
bullshit.
you know anybody with AIDS?
Yeah,
I don't know a
yeah.
single
It
person with
sounds
AIDS.
exactly the same. It sounds exactly the same. And these are kids, granted, but I think that we're all just grown kids. And that's
Yeah.
another thing I think about with this movie. Is like, yeah, we're kids, but some people don't grow out of this shit.
No.
And don't ever, they might not be hanging out at the skate park, but but they're doing the same kind of shit. They're making the same mistakes or choices, same kinds of choices. Um, um,
But I just want to tally up all the fucked up shit. Like
okay.
you've got Telly who gave a 12-year-old AIDS, or HIV, who gave Jenny HIV, and then gave a 13-year-old Darcy HIV.
And we
All
don't
in,
know how many other people because he talks
and
about.
yeah,
He said he's fucked a lot of people.
yeah. And so we don't know how long he's had it and all that jazz, which is nuts because it's like if he claims he only fucks virgins, but if he fucks virgins, how did he get only fucks virgins? How did he get HIV? But anyways, and then you've got they rob the stores, they nearly kill a man in the skate park, they're doing whippets, they're constantly aggressively trying to force girls to kiss them and let them do things to them.
Yeah, a lot of aggressive male sex stuff
Like
that would not fly now.
no,
I'm
not
about
at
to
all.
I'm about to put on the screen the one thing that I thought, like, it's not as bad as the other things, but boy did
Yeah.
it make my skin crawl watching these little kids smoke weed. I'm
Oh my
talking
God, yeah, you've got these like 10-year-olds all getting
and
stoned, talking about big hits.
someone who's a fan of the sweet leaf, I'm not opposed to it. Seeing these kids, these are children. These aren't even
Yeah, these are
teens.
legitimate children, and they're having them smoke, which I'm assuming because it's a scripted movie and it had a budget of a good budget for the time, that this is like the fake stuff that actors smoke on
But man,
set.
those kids
But
look high as shit. They look
that's what I'm
so
saying.
high.
So much of this
They were
movie seems
acting
illegal.
really high. They were acting like really high. Like I was like,
Yeah,
man, this is so
believably.
real. Like this is so real. Unless they were instructed really, like directed really well, and they were around other people high, like they knew how to
Yeah.
act. But man, is it
But like
good.
they're doing legitimate inhales and exhales of this shit. Even if it's just like the herbal cigarette stuff that they use on set that's fake, like that stuff still like they'd be coughing a shit ton unless these were just part of like the non-actor people that they roped in that were already doing this as kids. But either way, like filming it and all that, it just seems so legal. But like this scene was funny. I chuckled a bunch in this scene, but at the same time, it was just god damn.
Yeah, so did
You
I.
feel
It
like
was funny.
you're
It was
so
funny.
desensitized from everything else like that happened prior to this that this just seems like a moment of levity. But in reality, it's just
It's
fucking,
just as fucked
it's
up
just
as
as fucked
everything
up.
else.
But and then the fact that the movie ends with a little over 2 minute uncut shot of Casper raping Jenny, it was I almost turned it off right there. Like I had to pause it and just kind of just like for a few minutes. It's like, is this really it? Like I
Yeah.
feel like I gotta fast forward this because it just uncut and it's just the whole
Yeah,
fucking
it's horrible.
like douche guy thing. It's like, oh, it's just me. Don't worry, it's just me. No, stop. Don't. And then she's like passed out because she's on the. They didn't say what drug she was on, but they just said it makes Special K look weak. And Special K is horse tranquilizer, so she's
Yeah.
out. Um,
Yeah,
and like
she's essentially
occasionally she goes like,
drugged.
no, yeah, it's and he's just fucking making it happen, and then it's just, oh my God, it was disgusting. It was so wrong. It was so fucked up. And like I didn't know that. I thought this movie would have been like, critically acclaimed, because I think it's a very good like art house film. But it was split when it came out. Down that people either hated it or thought it was like very artistic.
It was
And
very popular with the youth at the time. Apparently, it had a big cult classic following.
yeah.
So like a lot of people saw the movie.
Yeah, it did great in the box office. It made 20 million on a 1.5 million dollar budget, which is phenomenal. Yeah, it's almost 20 times what they paid. Uh, but it's man, is it a hard watch? Oh, was it a hard watch? It's 90 minutes, but it feels like 2 hours at least. Not in a bad way. It's just so much heavy shit that you got to process and just keep up with because it doesn't stop. Like there's yeah, like the only time it stops is when you get the calm moments of watching kids smoke weed.
So Gus Van Sant was a producer on this, so it explains where the money came from.
Oh, apparently I read that he left the project and was replaced by Kerry Woods
Oh yeah,
before they
yeah.
started
I
shooting.
think I just saw that.
But
But
his name was attached just because
he had a big
had,
name.
yeah. They were like, yeah, you're using his name to drum up financing. But Yeah, it's so nuts. It's so nuts. Visually, it's outstanding. I feel like this is a very very good, like, beautiful aesthetic. It's so much mixing of just like the chaos and this like destruction because of how like gritty and like warped the film is, like the actual film stock they shot, and it looks like it was like shot two stops under and pushed heavily just to make it as dirty and noisy as possible. But it's also like so colorful and so vibrant and like uh
I
I
wonder
just
what they
love it. I'm
spent the
so into
the
it
budget on some of this shit.
because it wasn't like I dare guarantee the actors weren't getting paid that much because they're all
I
kids.
wonder if they pissed some of it away.
Well, I imagine I mean, because film is expensive, shooting on film is expensive, but also you had, the '90s was the era of everybody's getting $100 to $1 million budget music videos versus now, music videos like you're lucky to get like 10 to 50 grand.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm wondering if people just got paid a lot more for doing stuff back then, and also being a union, it was a union job if it was had a budget that high, so that's the crew's getting paid really well.
So
But definitely, yeah, there's definitely like I feel like they could have made this movie for like 800,000 for like half the budget, the way it looks visually. But it is, who knows? I really don't know. This is really good looking though.
what yeah, yes, I agree. What um yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. It's heavy. So there's things that we do need to discuss. About the people. There are a lot of people that view both of these movies as exploitative. Because of
Yeah,
the
I
way,
saw that.
because well, it's because of the way that they use underage actors
Yeah.
who can't truly consent to what they're doing. And you're making them do bad stuff, nudity, whatever, sexual things. It ruined. So, two people from this film died. Not directly related, but the character Harold, he
Oh,
was one of the
really?
skaters. Yeah,
Yeah,
he OD'd on heroin in the 2000s, and Justin Pierce committed suicides in the early 2000s as well. And then also there's the fact that Harvey Weinstein went to bat for this film, which has you know a little bit of underage nudity and underage
yeah.
sexual themes. But it's making underage actors do uh things that might they might not ever be able to live down or whatever.
Well, if this
Um,
movie was on the up and up, then their parents would have had to sign and like consent and be on set. Because there's a lot of like union set rules, which granted
there's
this
a
is the
lot of
90s, probably a
people
lot different than it was now.
There's a lot
But
of people that were from from that scene, from the street, from
mm,
these are real New York City kids. I guess Chloe
yeah,
Sevigny was she was like a hip it girl from the scene well before the movie. What was I gonna say? The other thing that what I read was that multiple of the actors had really hard times transitioning to fame and money, and because they were poor, they were raised poor,
mm,
and they got into drugs and what have you. They just weren't able to manage their career. Leo Fitzpatrick, the character who played Telly, stopped acting for a long time. He actually was a character on The Wire. You know how much I love The Wire,
yeah.
and he's a great character. He's a great performance and character on it. Um, and I was like, I know that speech. Like he doesn't look the same, but the way he talks is the same. And it's like pretty. Once you hear that, you know. But
He
so
it's
there's a cost to this. The realism and immersion and things like
mm,
that, and using people, that are actually involved in that world, because one, you're broadcasting an element of their life or something that is purported as an element of their life, as gospel truth. Also, yeah, not helping these kids transition to whatever they're gonna do next. You can't just I don't know, sets them up for failure. Obviously, Rosario Dawson and Chloe Sevigny have had great careers though since, so it's not all bad. It's just something worth considering, and I think we'll talk. I think it's even more worth considering about Gummo than this, because like you said, with this, there's much more up and up. Gummo wasn't released to wide theaters. You know, Gummo was a straight up indie underground release, self-funded.
Lost a lot of money.
Yeah, lost a lot of money. Didn't make any money really.
No, it lost this. It was, granted, you know, not including DVD sales, but Gummo had a budget of 1.3 million and only made 110,000.
Yeah, no, I know. I was gonna get to that. We were gonna get to that when we talk about that.
But yeah, it's just so heavy. There's just I feel like so much happens in this movie, and it just moves. But I don't feel like it moves too fast. But there's always something going on. It reminded me just like of when you're a kid, and I tell my girlfriend this all the time. It's like I feel like when I was younger, I was able to do way more stuff in a day than now. Like you'd go to school all day, but then you'd still come home, and I felt like you'd run the streets and you do all these things, and still have time to play video games and all. And
I don't know, maybe, but also I was just thinking about this the other day when I was a kid, and we had football practice, and it would just be like you go home, you go to school, you go to practice, you do your homework, which I always skipped my homework because I had no time to do anything else. Like that's the thing about sports that they don't talk about. It's just not enough hours in the day to get your homework done, unless you are doing nothing but work from sun up to sundown, and that's just not a way for kids to live. I feel like they need to have some decompression time to do the thing. Sorry, that was a tangent.
I was gonna say that's how I felt about playing in college. Was like because college is
even like worse. It's even more. So I like without your parents to force you to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's just like 8 hours of meetings and practices and lifting, and plus you still have classes all day, and then it's either sleep and social life, or social life and schoolwork, or schoolwork and sleep. But like you can't have it all.
Yep, you're right. You're right. It's like Persona. It's like a life sim where you have to manage your time. Okay. Are we ready to score, kids? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I think I'm ready to do it.
Yeah. It's like I feel weird. I feel like we like talked about it a lot, but I feel like there's more to be said, but I can't think of what else to say because it's just so. You just kind of that's like. It's just so wild. There's just so much going on in that movie.
And I think we can come back to it because these two movies are very tied together. They were made within 3 years span. Like they're back-to-back movies for Korine. And I think this very much informs what Korine does next.
Yeah, and like the kids came out in 95, and then they shot Gummo in 96. So it's like a year after. It's just it definitely feels like this is like a two-parter, if that makes sense. Like one is urban, one is rural, is what it feels like.
That's definitely true. That's definitely true. It goes farther than kids in what it was doing, without the shackles of the unbridled creative control on both of these movies, but even more so on Gummo. That's what happens. And sometimes you're going to get something off the rails that isn't going to be marketable. It isn't going to be a sellable product. But, I would say both of these movies are highly influential. Highly. I would even say Gummo maybe even more. And, like, this is more conventional, and you could get more from the narrative and the style, and, like, some of the style. But I don't know. But all right, score it. I want to hear you first. I'm not ready to go first.
I'm gonna. Oh, I wanted to retract my Suicide Squad 4.5 down to a 4 because
Because did you
on a little
realize
bit
that that
longer.
was insane?
And
Did you
I
realize
was
that
still,
that was
yeah,
insane?
that now I was riding on the high of how much I liked it.
I know, I
Um,
know, I know.
but this movie, because I was thinking about this movie, and it's like it's one of these things that's so fucked up, and I probably don't want to watch it ever again because of how uncomfortable it made me feel. But it was so good at the same time, so I think I'm gonna give this one like a 4. Um,
Yeah, I feel like both of these movies, you could probably argue me maybe any score. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I feel like especially Gummo, you could seriously argue 1 through 5, and I will believe you. You could probably build a case that is convincing. This
yeah.
movie, I think, has a higher floor in terms of what you could possibly score it, but I feel the same way. Um, when I think about some things, it makes me want to lower it, but I'm gonna stick with a 4 as well. I think I could talk myself into a 4.5. I could talk myself into a 3, a 3.5. But I think the style for me, usually style with substance, and this does have both. I remember one knock I want to say is the AIDS thing really dates the film, and you can probably swap in something else. The HIV thing. I'm sorry. The HIV thing really dates it, and I think you could swap it in with something else for a different era. And unprotected sex is still a big deal, and we need to, safe sexes should be promoted amongst teens, especially God if you're living in an urban environment like this, where there's just people everywhere.
I mean, I feel like that doesn't date it any more than everything else in the movie, because so much of this movie is, like you said,
There's
is
a
a time
time
capsule.
capsule.
Like between the slang and the way that
The
like New York
fashion, the
looks, the
music,
fashion, yeah, the way that NASA club is, like, and just everything about it is just. I told
the
Kylie,
skater
it's like this is just
cultures.
the antithesis of or not antithesis. This is the epitome of the '90s cranked to like 15, like an all in New York, just fucking everything is just is high intense as it can be for everything, and it's like it's I don't know, it's so unique. It's so unique, even in its representation of the '90s, just because it's of like a New York City skate culture kids, like.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone will like it, and I don't even know if I should say everyone should see this, but I think if you are into film, you should
Yeah,
see
I would say that.
both of these movies. And if you are into, because this and the other thing is it might be a little edgy for its own good. It is a little like dire, extreme. It's a little extreme, a little bit, but these are
Just the
real. These
90s,
are things that
baby. Everything
happen.
was extreme.
That's true. That's true. But these are things that really happen, and they're things that we're
Yeah.
talking about now in terms of the themes of sexual assault and stuff like that. I think are the most relevant parts today. I would say, regardless of it's just a way men treat women in these
Yeah, because it
situations.
doesn't glamorize it, which is what I appreciated for even for being of its time when that was so common. It does not glamorize that kind of
No,
aggressive
it
culture.
definitely
It
no, it
makes it
does not.
feel it
Bad.
makes it feel as wrong as it is, the way that it's like portrayed and shot. Like, because you
Yeah.
can see like every girl is given ample screen time to like repeatedly push off, repeatedly say no, repeatedly, so you get it in your head like this is not like, because like when you're a kid and you're in the moment, you're just like your hormones is all that's in control, and you're just like, oh, like, come on, it'll be fine, everything will be fine, don't worry about it. But then like looking at it through this, it's like, nah, dude, this is really fucked up, and this is really giving off rapey vibes. So it's like, cut it out.
Um. Yeah, I give it a 4 also. All right. Let's move on then to Gummo.
Now Gummo, I think you'll be upset with me with. I don't think I liked it as much as I liked the kids, but it is really good.
I love Gummo more, but I think that speaks to our different sensibilities. I figure that you might gravitate more into the more conventional story, and I don't know if I did try to preface you that there is not there is a plot, but it is so loose in Gummo, very good,
Yeah,
very
I
loose.
honestly, after watching it, I was like, if you were to ask me what the movie's about, I was just gonna say it's like poor, uneducated Southerners just spending like
They're in
killing time.
Ohio. They're not even Southerners.
Well, so that's the thing,
It
which
is
doesn't
shot
make
in
sense to me.
Tennessee. It is shot
The
in
entire
Tennessee.
thing is shot in Tennessee. Almost everyone has a thick Southern accent, but it says it's in Ohio.
Yeah.
I was reading about it, and apparently the why it is set there was just because Harmony said that they needed they needed a setting to justify like the chaos of the film, so they picked a town where a tornado had hit.
Yeah, it
Like,
was all about the tornado. The tornado is a crucial thing that they come back to in the movie of why this town is the way it is.
but I'm just looking at it as a Southerners because it's shot in his hometown. It's shot in all Southern things. It's just the setting is just a vessel for the tornado. To be a part of the plot. So I'm personally I'm only going to refer to it as Southerners, because it's just it you know.
I
It
mean,
doesn't change
canonically,
anything.
it takes place in Ohio. It does.
Yeah, yeah.
Canonically, it is not Southerners. But yeah,
They
sure.
it's that one part of Ohio where everyone has a deep Southern accent.
Well, I mean, Pennsylvania. You could definitely go into
Well,
the
there's a
middle of
difference between
Pennsylvania.
a Pennsylvania Southern accent and a Tennessee Southern
I don't
accent.
think the accents are that thick. I don't think the accents are personally.
Outside of the main cast, like the main people, like all of the side people that talk and everything, it is so like that slower, thicker, like Southern drawl. Like I've been a
I mean,
Nashville
it just sounds like a rural area to me. I don't know. That didn't bother me at all. Yeah, that didn't really bother me. There's a lot of footage from real people in this. They feel like home movies throughout, and yeah, some of those people have definitely thicker accents than the actors. But
do you now? I feel dumb, but do you know what the name Gummo comes from?
I don't. I do not because
I didn't know or.
All I know is that Tekashi 6ix9ine has a song called Gummo.
He does,
and I think it's a reference to this movie, but I don't know if it is or not. So yeah, this movie's like a series of it feels like a series of vignettes, but they are connected. They're not really vignettes, but they kind of are.
I would say the stuff with Bunny Boy are vignettes, and the stuff where it just like randomly branches off to a random town character. But the stuff with
Solomon and Tumblr are all it's like and the girls, so the cat, Foot the cat. It's all like the main plot.
This movie's fucking wild though how it opens.
Well, yeah, because it opens with a cat being drowned.
Yeah, well, and then you've got the Solomon spoken word going on while Bunny Kid is just like dancing and pissing off that bridge onto the highway. Oh
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
It's just like that, and that happens right before the cat thing. So I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? What is going on with this bunny? But the bunny thing, it looks so familiar to me. I kept thinking of the bunny suit in Hey Arnold.
Well, okay, so it's one of the kids in Bob's Burgers wears the same bunny hat, and it's a reference. It's a reference to this movie.
Oh wow!
Yeah, this is a cult classic. Like a lot, it's like a like a lot of people have seen it, kind of thing, and it's like have you seen this weird shit? I don't know. I liked it a lot. I think this is kind of like a transgressive kind of work. It's like a multimedia project. It feels like there's stills, there's like home videos, there's real people in it mixed with actors, there's just straight up real people. There's scripted scenes. There's it breaks the fourth wall in the end of the movie a couple times, I think, but in the specifically in the end of the movie. It's beautiful and it's chaos. It's like it feels like a acid trip, not necessarily a bad acid trip, just one that is chaotic. Because I mean they all are chaotic. There's like a sweetness in this all, a serenity, but it's like everything's filthy, everything's out of place, everything is disorder.
Yeah,
but so people live this way. Yeah, everyone's a hoarder. Yeah, everyone's a hoarder. But
towards the end of the movie, this little kid pulls like he's like intentionally making picture frames crooked, and he pulls the one frame off, and it's just bugs everywhere that come out
Oh,
of his
I
eye.
thought he was doing that to see if bugs were behind. That's a thing. That bugs will, if you really have bad infestations, they'll hide behind the picture frames, and if you move them, they'll scatter. And that's what he's doing to kill them. And he is covered in bed bugs. I'm not gonna lie to you. Me and Riss have been watching a internet documentary about an internet person named Chris Chan. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Oh, I saw their name in the headlines for getting arrested.
Yeah, so we went down all this. It's a long hole. They were famous for a decade before this on the internet, and they're a hoarder. And a lot of the stuff some of this did remind me of Chris Chan a little bit. Riss watched it with me. There was a sequence. Yeah, this movie is about immersion in this world, immersion in this fictional Zenny, Ohio. So like that's why I don't think of it as Southerners, because like this is it could be some alternate universe, but it's not, or a real America, a real place. This fictional town, like
yeah, I just took it as like the name doesn't matter, like the town's specific setting doesn't matter. It's just the tornado and then just the people, and that's it. This could
But
be,
yeah,
like
the name. I mean,
anywhere.
the name matters. It's what. But I'm saying like this is that world. This is immersing you in this world of Zenio, Ohio, this town that was ravaged by a tornado, and you're getting it through. Yeah, there is this thin plot, and then there's introducing you these different characters. Ellen, who's like a special person who's takes care of a baby, a woman who takes care of a baby, and there's the two brothers who like murdered their parents. They say they murdered their parents, and they just literally fight.
Like, yeah, that's real too. It turns out those two guys were two of Harmony's friends growing up.
Yeah, I imagine he just paid them to fight a little bit.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah, do your thing, and that's like the one dude's lip gets busted and shit, and like, I was like, oh, this looks like they're just joking around, and then I started seeing the head punches connecting, and I was like, oh, this is real.
It seems like bro brothers. That's what they was trying to feel
like.
They're really dumb. Yeah, because they're playing and they're fighting, but they're actually fighting because they're like dumb bro brothers. Yeah, that was just like how the character is.
Yeah, there's so much of just like that, of just like so weird. I got a lot of like, and I don't know how you feel about this statement, but I got a like David Lynch vibes out of this on like a lot of like the long hold sequences of like the woman shaving her eyebrows at the end, or the bathtub, eating the spaghetti in the Crunch Bar, like really in the gross water. Ugh.
Yes, that all those remind me of Lynch, or on Werner Herzog. Apparently is a big fan of that scene in particular, the bacon taped to the wall. Did you see the bacon taped to the wall?
Oh, I did.
Yeah, when he's eating the spaghetti, there is literally just strips of bacon that is scotch taped to the wall. And
oh my god, I was so focused on this kid.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of people really love that scene. I think
it was so like innocent but wrong. Like, it's such a weird juxtaposition, that scene. And then that kid is just such a unique look.
Solomon.
Yeah. Harmony said that the reason why he cast people in this movie wasn't because of any acting. It was just how they looked.
David Lynch does that. Presence. Yeah, that's a David Lynch.
Yeah, I enjoy that, and I do that myself a lot on my stuff, where it's just kind of like, granted, I don't dive into like the art house stuff like this. I'm more mainstream, but that's like, I always start visual first, and then I try to connect things to the visual after that. With like my script writing and stuff.
Yeah, this is David Lynch, and they're like ugly people. Are people with very distinct faces.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of even a good character actor. Usually has more of a distinct face than a handsome than being handsome or beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I know Solomon was like a small child actor before he was on this, but I couldn't the way that it was worded when I was reading about the guy who plays Tumblr,
Hey,
it made it sound like he was just cast off of being on one of those like Dr. Phil type shows, being a
yes, I
bad
was
kid.
talking to Riss about this. So yeah, he was on an episode of Sally Jesse Raphael, and the episode's called "My Child Died from Sniffing Paint." And so yeah, I guess Harmony Korine saw him off of that and cast him pretty much from there. I thought his
Is he in
performance is
anything
really
else?
good.
Oh,
No,
really good.
I feel like he's not is
He looks so
very
familiar.
little information I could find about him, and I couldn't find that he was in a lot of other shit.
But
Um,
yeah, he killed it, and I like that. We were talking earlier about the glue sniffing scene. So apparently, like when they're on he's singing that crying song, talking about his transsexual brother moving to the big city. Like apparently, they're actually sniffing glue, like which is nuts. And that scene is just so natural feeling though at the same time. Like I don't know. He captured just such like natural things. Like nothing feels forced. It's so hard to do that for every single part of a movie. Like, um,
I mean, it's not well. Apparently, they've shot a lot, and that's why the budget is so high. That he has a compilation called the Diary of Anne Frank 2, Part 2, which is a 40-minute 3-screen collage featuring a lot of excess footage from Gummo.
mm,
That he said he could have probably made two more parts to Gummo, but that he was like afraid that making it too big it would like lose focus on
mm,
the themes and whatnot. And when you had and apparently he handed out a fuckload of different kind of cameras, basic consumer cameras,
yeah,
more expensive cameras and whatever to like friends and family, and just had them film random shit around the area, and he just edited it down from that. And I think that's a
yeah,
really genius way to do it. I
yeah.
don't
It's
think
something like
you don't need a fancy camera. I mean, to do
when you're blending mediums like this, you don't, because like the main camera, like the main one that
we'll
they
do
shoot
the
with, that's
main
the through.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the through line to keep it all connected.
yeah, and I
Um,
think that's a really smart way, and it like pads out. I mean, if you take away all of the extra stuff, then just leave the well shot, um, a plot stuff. This movie would
mm,
probably be like a half hour, um, maybe a little longer. It's just
yeah.
filled out so much by this other stuff, but I think that it really adds. It doesn't take away. It doesn't feel like filler. I feel like
No, no, no. It's just a complimentary.
some people would draw away. I think could walk away from this being like, well, there's all this filler shit, and like it's not an actual movie, but like that is what is the true immersive part, and what makes this thing special. This
And you have
project.
all the voiceovers from Solomon and Tumblr during those sequences too, that kind of keep it
Keep
like,
filling it in and keep it
and
connected.
yeah, and you're just like these little like retrospectives of just like other characters in the town like through it, and um the only thing this is probably just because I'm me, but the Bunny Boy vignettes, what purpose did they serve other than just being extremely weird? Like the cap gun scene with the two little cowboys in the junkyard, cowboy
The
kids,
kids that swear
and they're just
constantly.
swearing nonstop. Fucking pussy! I get so like you got like this like what looks like a 6-year-old screaming like, "You smell like pussy!" Like it was so over the top and hilarious, but also I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? Because they shoot him and he plays dead, and then he just doesn't move for the rest of the time, and they just like throw his shoes and his skateboard and shit, and it's just like, is this supposed to be like a representation of something outside of the movie, or is this just more of just this is this town and this is the people in it?
I think this is a truly groundbreaking piece. I think that I would love to see more stuff like this that it gets compared to. But it really does feel like it stands on its own as a film and a art project, multimedia really art projects. The voiceovers, the stills, the different video mediums, the themes, the chaos. But there's like a beauty in it at the same time. There's like a serenity throughout this film. It's very peaceful, as much as like you're watching cats get murdered and shit. And like there's random interspersions of death metal, and like satanic imagery, or whatever. But it somehow just fits and works and just paints you this world, of America, of culture, and it's a fictional culture, but it's also very much indicative of real world and real life and the real people that they used in this movie. Um, yeah, I
What
feel
did
like I.
the
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what did you think the Bunny Boy scenes represented? Because then, because at the end, he's just like making out with the two teenagers, like in the pool in the rain and shit, and it just seems like it was just so.
Yeah,
I
the
don't want to
bunny.
say random, but it was
The
just
oh, definitely something. If all this, the bunny boy, because like he's also there's the shot where he's on the toilet playing
the accordion.
the
Yeah,
accordion. Like there's in the beginning sequence, like there's all this. The only even with the kids, because he just like lies dead and doesn't and just lays there while the kids berate him and take his shoes and shit.
yeah. I'm just
Um,
like I want to know so much, and I'm like I don't know if I feel bad at myself for not getting it or whatever, but
No,
I just
I think that I mean that it bears watching multiple times. It bears exploration. It bears your own interpretation. Like sometimes with these kinds of movies, there might be an intended interpretation from the creator, but
mm,
ultimately it's up to you to assign your own meaning to things. And if you feel something from it, then that's a valid reading of the piece. You know what I mean?
gotcha.
So like it's both. It can be both. Like, cause Riss taught me this. Cause I was always somebody that like wanted to know the canonical, the artist intended
Yeah, yeah, that's how
meaning
I
and
am.
reason. I wanted to know what they intended, and that's important to me as a creator myself because I want what my intentions are to come across. But then there is a value in assigning people assigning their own meanings to things, assigning their own interpretations. Like art has value just because, in my opinion, but I think is an accepted opinion, that it makes you feel something, and that's at its
Yeah.
base the only important thing. And I felt something from this, whether I understood every piece of it or not.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't. I like this film better than Kids. I think Kids, while groundbreaking, this is takes that baton and just runs way farther with it. And I don't think this is this is a style that could be emulated and done well all the time, or if this is something that could be mass consumed. But it just the level of immersion and attention to detail, but while seemingly effortless at times, this collection of data and kind of
Hmm.
parsing through what you get and boiling it down to something with keeping the themes and that you've want in mind. I don't know. I think that someone could learn a lot from both of these films, but I think this film in particular, like how far you can go. That this is just as important to view as a class as classics.
Hmm.
And people, what is the you went to film, not film school, but you went to school for film. But when people talk, Fellini, like you watch 8.5, or Godard, or Werner Herzog, who gets compared and loves the Gummo. Um,
Hmm.
um, I
Yeah,
think
I
this
think it's just
stands
like
with any. It's that lane. It's further left than Lynch.
yeah, I took it as just like this is kind of like just like a at the time a newer way version of filmmaking that is not as bound to because it's like because obviously at the time and even prior you have art pieces that are just kind of out there and whatever, but
But
this
yeah,
is
people
like
have been making weird art films with
yeah,
random shit in them for 100 years. Not 100 years, but almost,
but I think this is
or
a really
50
good
years.
uh blending of just kind of like hybriding of traditional filmmaking in with just the extreme art, like weird shit because it has while it is extremely loose, it does have some bearing like some form of structure, and it does have some cohesion, and not just in the way that it like all the different mediums blended together, but just in the fact that like it does carry you scene to scene into things and keeping you interested, and it's not just like here's a series of random things that made me feel something and I'm sharing it on a wall in a gallery. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? This is like
it's challenging, but it's not undigestible.
yeah,
And I think
it's just like a
and
slow
it's
film.
entertaining. Like there's funny moments in both of these films, but in Gummo, it's almost like a like a dark black comedy. It's a you know, you can put so much on it. But also it's very simple. It feels very minimal. Also, it feels grand and small in scale at the same time.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, and in
I
the same way with the way it challenges you, but the way it's also kind of not a hard watch. The between the runtime and the wild ass moments that you're trying just like waiting for the next ball to drop of something crazy
yeah.
as shit. Um, I don't know. Love this film.
Yeah,
I
this just for me this felt like a Lynch film, but with more shit going on. You know what I mean? Like like all the weirdness of Lynch and like the and stuff like that, but giving it a brand new like look and texture and adding more like speeding not speeding things up, but just keep like more things are happening. Things are we're cutting all over the place rather than just like Lynch likes to do those long like awkward takes where you're just like sitting watching like a small man in a chair in the back corner of the room for 2 minutes straight, or a man mopping for 10 minutes and stuff like that. Where it's like it has those elements, but they're being pieced together in a way that's a lot more palatable, but still like holding on to that strange and that the interestingness, I guess. Um,
Yeah, I think for a movie with very loose plot, it's one of the easier watches. And maybe because of the subject matter, probably. It's an edgy, entertaining subject matter. It's provocative. It's America also. It's a familiar America. For Americans, I guess. Um, yeah, this is one of my favorite films, maybe ever.
yeah,
I don't think it's my favorite film ever, but it is. I think that this is a perfect film. I think
yeah,
you could say. And I think it's easier because it's so stylized. The flaws are part of the perfection. You know,
part of the style.
whatever flaws you could point out, which I don't even know what I'd point out because
Because
it's
you
so
don't know what's
weird.
what's a flaw and what's intended. You know what
Yeah,
I
because
mean?
it's imperfect. It's blemish. And that's a lot of art in the '90s. A lot of music in the '90s, um, is textured and fuzzy and buzzy and noisy um, and that's indicative. This is very indicative of those times. Um, that there is a value in perfection. There's perfection in imperfection. Um, Not everything needs to be super clean and super produced,
Mhm.
and to have a great value. Not just to be considered amateur or something. But yeah,
Um, yeah, so I some fun facts that I wanted to throw out there. One was the arm wrestling scene where it's just like a bunch of shirtless drunk dudes arm wrestling, and Tumblr's there with his dad. Apparently, Harmony Korine didn't want to be in the room for that scene at all. It's only the DP like operating, and that's it. No one else is allowed in the room because they were afraid that the people would get uncomfortable, having a director and like more people in there. And also, I guess some crew didn't want to be in the room because some of the guys just got out of prison and that were in that room, and they didn't know it was going to go down. And they just like, I guess Harmony just like set them up, which is like, this is what we want, and then they just went and rolled. Um, and I guess the awkward, like at the very end of it, where there's just like that awkward silence and everyone's just kind of looking around at each other, just like, what do we do now? I guess that was actually just them being like, what do we do now? Like, is it good? Did they got it? Did they get it? But they kept the take because it just like that awkwardness fit the everything. It's just like, because it is like you just got hammered and you destroyed a table and chair. Now what? Like,
Yeah,
um,
apparently the guy who the skinnier guy with the curly hair that wrestles the chair first is
mm.
actually a skater, and he was an actor. But he was one of the few people in that
Oh
scene
wow.
that was an actor. But he's a skater actually, so he's not even a real actor. But he's
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
friends. He's probably friends with Korine or whatever from the scene.
yeah.
Um, but I thought that was
Um,
interesting.
yeah. The other one was
Mark
apparently a lot
Gonzalez
of.
is his name.
Gotcha, gotcha. But apparently, some of the houses that they shot in were so gross that a lot of the crew made Harmony Korine buy hazmat suits for them, and then so Harmony did that. But in response
Yes.
to it, him and the DP thought that that was super offensive to the people's houses, so that they showed up in flip flops and speedos to just like give an fu to the crew, which I thought was hilarious because that's
Yeah,
like
I did read
that is
that
kind of
as well.
fucked up. Like these people clearly live in this, and like they're not dead. So why would you need a hazmat suit? Like I get it, it's gross and it's dirty, but it's like it's not obviously it's clearly not inhospitable because people live like that. Um, but yeah, those are my two I thought were fun facts. Very interesting facts about the movie. But yeah, it's just so interesting. It's a lot of randoms and Harmony's friends and just only a handful of actors. But it's like apparently Harmony and Chloe were dating at the time of this movie,
Hmm.
um, which is cool and makes sense. And then but also Chloe did all the costume design for the whole movie, which is also super cool because the
Uh,
aesthetic is very unique. Um,
Chloe is straight up indie movie queen. She is also known for the Brown Bunny, a Vincent Gallo movie, who is a wild indie director. We will one day watch a film or two of his. Um, but she's also, I think she was dating Vincent Gallo for that movie. But she's in so many good things. She's in Nightcrawler with
oh,
she's in
with Jake Gyllenhaal.
yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal. She's in a bunch of shit. She's in so much good stuff. She's a great actress. Just super cool also. Great, just cool ass chick. Um yeah, love seeing her and stuff. So let's before we get into the final bits, because I feel like I'm running out of. I feel like this movie is so much feeling, and less to talk about other than it's weird and wild, and
Yeah.
we talked about the mediums and the chaos and the redneck world, for lack of a, or just to say it plainly and concisely. Um, but the exploit. I want to go revisit the exploitative um criticisms, because one, there are more than one uh special needs actors in this movie, and they are not portrayed well. Not portrayed like the characters are bad, but they are not portrayed in a good light. One is a prostitute being pimped out by her brother, and the other is fine and wholesome, but at one point she shaves her eyebrows off, and they just have her doing goofy shit, and I don't think it's meant to like demean, but at the same time it's just like it's weird, uncanny. It reminds me of Lynch, the way that girl in particular, the eyebrow
Hmm.
shaving scene, like you
And then
said, is very Lynch.
singing the Jesus Loves Me song as the credits roll.
Yeah, but there's some, and even with Solomon, because of like the way he looks and whatnot, um, and the making out scene with the boy, like these are women in their 20s making out with a boy, like there is a lot of I think justified criticisms of exploitation, in this film that are at least worth you need to consider and reconcile. I don't think it doesn't devalue the movie for me. Riss, my partner, it did for her. She didn't hate it or anything, but I think it took it down from being a really high score. And for that, um, and it's hard to these people aren't actors and don't become actors again, but this movie's ubiquitous and they have to live with that. Um, and special needs person can't truly consent to being on film. Their parents
Yeah.
can't consent really for them either. Like they're not truly signing up for this, even if they say yes.
Hmm.
Um, So it's hard to, the morality of those things. It's not that this was bad or he mistreated, that Korine or the production team mistreated these people, but it's also like you're putting them on film and elements of themselves on film that they may not understand the repercussions of that. I don't know. I didn't read any stories about bad things happening to anyone like I did with kids. These things are real. And yeah, the lady's kiss on the boy was a little off putting. Was pretty
I
off
just
putting
came
at
out
the
of
end.
nowhere. I was just like, "Holy shit, that's the bunny boy," and he's just fucking making out with the two girls in the pool, and it's just like, and it's like they just keep. But it was funny to me. It was the girls were the ones that were pulling him in to her or to them, and it was just so. Yeah, I just need to know why because it's so out of nowhere because that kid doesn't interact with any of the other main cast until that point. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I could have googled that. And I'm curious if there's any theories about some of these things. But yeah, I think even with the reveling in the unknown of it all, in the non understanding, I love it. I love it. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. I love the way the story is told. I love the way that this is so immersive. It's just like an immersive thing. And to view it as like, I don't know why I keep thinking about role playing games. Maybe because I've been playing D&D a lot in the last year, but like there's more to just D&D than telling you the story. It's telling introducing characters, it's side characters, just people that you may never talk to again. It's
mhm.
learning about the world, learning about how things look, even getting a door described to you. Um I think that kind of stuff is what I think I like so much about this movie is because it's details. It's like what makes Star Wars good is not just what's on the screen itself, but it's the fact that some guy in the background has 10-page biography about him, and we can learn about his life. And like
Yeah,
anime, same thing. Like I love stuff that has a world to it. And I don't think that this has a world in that sense, but it does have a world. And it has more detail to it than just these are the characters in the real world and they're having this
yeah,
story happen to them, or they're in this fantasy world that this genre world that you're familiar with already. And like this is like we said, this is rural, this is redneck culture, whatever, but this is like very unique interpretation of it, and it's a unique aesthetic of it, I feel like. um
yeah. The it's yeah, it's just so there. I'm like torn between whether I like of I think I like kids better just because of it. I had more jaw dropping moments and stuff like that. But with this one, it's just more. I like this more from a stylistic point, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, yeah, I can see, I mean, as a conventional narrative and plot, and I think kids is a better um time and a better movie, and it's easier to recommend. But I think this is a perfect film.
I don't even know if I would recommend kids over this just because of how fucked up kids is.
No, but I mean, like as a movie itself, like as an
Yeah,
emotional
yeah, yeah,
movie, a story, an emotional story. I'm not
yeah.
recommending this movie for a good story. I'm not. I'm not.
No,
I'm
this is.
recommending it for
You want to see some wild shit?
you want to see some
Get in the
wild
van.
shit. You want to see some wild shit. That's it. You want to see some America ass shit.
Yeah. That's fucking. Oh man, the movie's nuts. Ugh.
Yeah, that is
Feels
definitely
love.
it. This is an experience.
So I'm guessing this is a 5 for you.
So this is where I'm at, struggling with it because I wanted to talk it out. So I already had this movie rated before because I've seen it before. I saw it before, and I gave it a 5 before.
Yeah.
And this time after I saw it, I risked and we talked it out, and it wasn't like sure I wanted to give it a 5, but now after sitting with it and we talked it on this, I'm back in Five Town, and
I would say, yeah, the phrase "this is a perfect film" to me was tossed around a lot. So I would say this better be a 5 for
this is a
you.
5. This is a 5. This is what my benchmark is of a 5. My first 5 on the Best Boys.
Wow. I think I'm gonna give it a 4 and tie it with kids because I think it can go either way of which one is better to me. I think they both have the strength that could be one on top of the other, but I don't know which one I would put on top of the other. So I'm just gonna put them both at 4s for now.
I think that's fair. I just want to pull
One
up
of them
Gummo.
deserves a 4.5. I just don't know which one.
I just want to pull up Gummo, not because we have to go through everyone's reviews or anything. I just wanted you to see the array. It's not as bad as I thought it was, because but it's concentrated between 3 to 5. And yeah. So
a lot of 4s.
Yeah, 4 is the most rated, which is what you gave it.
So really
yeah,
good.
you.
I like that where this picture for the poster.
Yeah.
That segment at the end where they have all those like shots of Solomon like that and all the the pictures and shit. I thought was really cool. Oh man, so Gummo takes the top spot.
Gummo is my top spot. Minari second. Killer third. I put kids ahead of 8th grade and below Mother.
Wow, you put kids below Mother. I think I like kids more than I like Mother.
I think I like kids better than Mother too, and I'm gonna switch them. But below Shape of Water still.
I definitely liked it more than Shape of Water.
Yeah, you had a weird grudge against Shape of Water.
I would put. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but I would put it with around the same as Requiem for a Dream.
It's honestly, the two movies go together. It's like those kids could grow up and then have the story of Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
And then it's like edgy, edgy movie.
Yeah.
I think it's that's what makes those movies appealing, like young people. Like, I always say this. I say this all the time. This is a movie that college me would love. I think Requiem for a Dream and Kids are both college me movies. They're still great. That doesn't mean they're not great. Gummo is a college me movie, but this is like the best college me movie. Chef's Kiss.
I've been thinking about The Green Knight again. I kind of want to go see it again.
I could totally see it again.
Hopefully it's still in theaters.
I wish I would have saw Zola in theaters. Oh yeah, I forgot to update Zola's score. It's a 3.5, not a 3 for me.
I think I gave it a 3 as well. What's it called? I am not mad that I didn't see Zola in theaters. I'm actually quite fine with the fact that I didn't see Zola in theaters. I don't think it would have enhanced the experience for me anymore. Than just watching it and
all right,
Dolby Vision at home.
Let's figure out what we're doing next week. Or do you wanna or what do you wanna do? What's your schedule like next week?
Let me look at the calendar. As of now,
yeah,
next week I come home Tuesday. I am shooting either one of the days this weekend for Rough Pants, but other than that, I have nothing booked until September.
So you can
as of now.
You're down to do another episode next week.
Oh yeah, I can definitely do one at least once a week.
Okay. Did you hear that the new Evangelion movie, the last Evangelion rebuild
I want to
came
see
out?
it so bad.
It's supposedly it's getting nothing but 5s. It's supposedly getting nothing but 5s.
They said it's a perfect ending to the series, and Kylie has seen all of the original and the original movie, so she has to watch the rebuilds.
So does Riz. So I'm gonna be watching those. Honestly, I was thinking about talking to Claire, who I'm starting the Best Girls podcast with, and swapping in and maybe moving that up. We were gonna do this the first episode, Steins Gate, since we both I'm watching it and she just finished it, but maybe we do the rebuilds. We'd be doing 4 movies, as one. But I don't know. We'll save that because it's more anime. We could figure out where we're gonna put that.
I would say to break it up as the first 3 rebuilds because they're all shorter, and then do a dedicated just the newest one because it's like over 2 hours long. and apparently it's a lot.
Are you at least a 2-parter where you do the first 2, or like you said, the first 3 and the last one, or the it's just it always makes me anxious, the completionist in me, to not start with the original,
I think
and
four
then
movies
not
in
do
one
end
go.
and not do End of Evangelion first, also because End of Evangelion is worthy of the film podcast because it's so good.
Yeah, that movie's so good.
So I don't know. We're gonna watch this, but let's not do this for next week. It'll get done, and you can join us if you watch it as well, and we do it on the anime one. Regardless, you should join us. Well, I guess we need to consult the list.
I'm heading to it right now.
I haven't updated it in a while.
You got me that there, Gummo.
Is there any? If you want to look there, I can look at the new ones. Let's wrap. We can wrap it up for the folks at home. Me and Riss have been talking about the Wachowskis a lot. I've been wanting to show her The Matrix, Speed Racer, and Bound. I've been wanting to watch Bound.
I need to rewatch Speed Racer. I've only seen that as a kid once. Okay. I picked these movies this week because I wanted to see kids, and then we lumped in Gummo. So if you have a pick for this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I should be ready to rock then.
In the movie Bound by the Wachowskis, is it required to listen to Bound 2 right after?
No, and I've always thought Bound 2 was a reference to the movie, but apparently it's a reference to this old song called Bound. But I'm telling myself that Bound 2 is a sequel to the Wachowskis. Bound. Bound. Falling in love. Yeah, when we do Bound, we will definitely be quoting that song, probably to the point of getting copyright strike. We could do Gus Van Sant. We talked about him several times today. Elephant, Drugstore Cowboy, Good Will Hunting, all supposed to be good.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I know that's Coen Brothers. I've been really wanting to watch.
I saw it multiple times. It's not their best movie. It's not bad. It's just not their best movie.
I heard it like as a whole. It's not like the best thing, but there's like 1 or 2 vignettes in there that are really good.
We can. I don't want to.
I'm just looking at the list and throwing things out like for something.
Well,
like
me and Riss were talking about Burn After Reading.
Oh, that's a good one.
Which is also Coen Brothers.
Yeah, I've seen that. That one's great.
What about you? Had me thinking about James Gunn, but since we just did him, we probably should wait. We could do
Citizen Kane ever again.
We could do I don't know. This isn't good podcast, so we'll figure it out, I guess. But we could just figure it out. Let's do Greg Araki. I would be down to do Greg Araki. I haven't seen any of his movies, and he's supposed to be really good.
Where's this at?
We could do Mysterious Skin, and we could do Nowhere. Mysterious Skin is a Joseph Gordon-Levitt flick. He's the lead.
Oh, I didn't know Gus Van Sant did Good Will Hunting. Okay.
Yeah, we could do double. We could do a weird Gus Van Sant and then do Good Will Hunting since it's normie. That would be a good combo also. I would down to do Araki or Gus Van Sant. So coincidentally, I think both gay.
Ooh, hot. It's your pick. I'm up for whatever. You know me, I'm still trying to see Killing a Sacred Deer. Just because I kind of I'm jonesing for just like a slow burn, just relax and just watch things unfold.
We could do.
Again, this isn't my pick.
All right. Well, it's my pick. Yeah, it's my pick. We're gonna do Greg Araki then.
Cool.
Let's do Mysterious Skin, and I think Nowhere is the one I want to do.
Okay. Nowhere and Mysterious Skin.
Apparently, they're a part of his Teen Apocalypse trilogy, and Nowhere is the third part of it. But, that makes me anxious that I have to go. Now I feel like I have to watch the first one.
Oh, Shaolin Soccer is such a good movie. Sorry, that's a side note. I didn't realize that was on the list. That movie's so good.
No, I'm changing. That we're doing John Waters. Finally. We're doing John Waters. We're doing Pink Flamingos.
Where is he on this?
He's in there. Just Control F, dog. Riz told me the power of Control F. It saves you so much time.
What is his name? John Waters?
Waters. Another gay director.
O-H-N or O-N?
O-H-N. Just Waters. There's only one Waters on the list.
Multiple Maniacs. Oh, this is the guy to Crybaby.
Yeah, Hairspray, Crybaby.
Gotcha. All right, so we're doing Hairspray. Got it. Awesome.
No, we're doing Pink Flamingos.
Okay.
And we can do Crybaby if you want to do Crybaby. I've never seen it.
I've only seen parts of it.
I've never seen it. Let's do Pink Flamingos and Crybaby.
I think I forgot to flush the toilet after I got out of the shower.
Oh God, Kory.
It just dawned on me. I think I did it, but it's that haunting of did I?
All right. Well, there we go. We got what we need. So everybody out there, before we go, make sure you follow us on YouTube. We're on Spotify and all the streaming services. We're all
make sure. It's 20% off.
Like us on Facebook. Make sure you tell your friends. And yeah, thanks for listening to the Best Boys. And you have a good day.
Peace.
Yeah. Peace.
Gang, gang, gang. The stream is still up. The music's back on. The stream is still up. We're going again.